Hi, my name is Mahogany Lee, and today we're going to be talking about digital sampling controversy. So, we're going to touch on music licensing and mechanical licensing. We're also going to talk about the different alternatives for music copyright owners. We're going to brush up against compulsory license provisions, and we're also going to talk about the benefits of settling. And yeah, that's about it. So, it's a lot to cover. I'm going to try and do it as brief as I can, so bear with me. So, with music licensing, it's when an artist wants to sample a recording of a sampled musical artist's composition that belongs to somebody else. And they basically need permission from the copyright owner of that piece. And so, if granted permission, it would be in the form of a musical license and or mechanical license. So, also note that the use of a sample with the copyrighted song of another's won't be subject to the compulsory license provision of the copyright law. And this is because this license it carries the privilege of making a musical arrangement of works to the extent necessary to upkeep the initial style or manner of the performance involved. So basically, it doesn't mess with anything, and with this license, it basically includes like you can sample music with changing without changing as long as you have that license. Change like the tone, the melody. You might hold it out for longer. Take a snippet of one song, put it in this piece, at this song. Let's see. And so, since mechanical licenses for song samples are exempt, the fees and terms they make to make and distribute samples with the copyrighted projects, it can be freely negotiated. And so it's not under there, it's exempt from it. So it's different fees and terms in order to sample projects. You just have to negotiate. So next we're going to talk about alternatives of the music copyright owner. So if an artist or an owner of a song notices that another person has sampled their piece of work, they have these options. They can, one, do nothing. Basically, leave it alone, don't worry about it, let that person ride it out as long as it doesn't mess with their coins, their money. They can refuse to license. So if the person who's sampling that piece wants to request a license from them in order to keep it, they have that right to either approve or deny it. They can grant a musical license, and so just know that there's a one-time flat fee for that. So if they're granted that, they have to pay that flat fee before they're able to continue using the piece. And they can also grant a mechanical license for a royalty. So you can get the license in order to get the royalties for this song. And yeah, it'll just, fall in line and count up that way. And they can also seek a co-ownership in the new composition. So the new project that they're working on, if they do a co-ownership, part of it will go to the music copyright owner. The other parts will go to, or at least a portion of it, will go to the sampling artist. And so seeking an assignment of the copyright in the new composition is the last way to go, or the last alternative that was brought up in the text. And so seeking an assignment of the copyright basically just wanting a piece of it, but it's really minimal. And so what the owner of the composition decides to do will depend on the different circumstances. So let's say the music copyright owner has a song that has sentimental value to it, and they hear it elsewhere, and it catches their attention. So this is why they're bringing it up to, or they're filing for copyright infringement. And so it depends on if the sampling artist unauthorized sample will create infringement upon the original. So if they're trying to monetize it or it messes up anything or their copyright rights, even though they are the owner, they can still go dibble and dabble in that. As long as it doesn't mess with that, Some owners are fine with it, some don't. They have the option to, again, choose what they want to do with that. And so if they were to bring it to court, the courts will really just question whether the portion copy was a qualitative, substantial portion. And if it is decided that that's what they're going to do, the question is going to shift from if it was to how much substantial it is, or how much of it is substantial, basically. So next we're going to move along to about sampling artists' additional music material and how it's owned by another. So if the sampling artist does not own or claim to own the new musical composition, a co-ownership agreement can be made. And this is during a serious sampling problem. So like I said, if they want to bring it to court, they have a problem with it, they can do that, and they can still do a co-ownership agreement. So this problem really comes to the surface because of the several copyright owners affected. So there can be more than one copyright owner on a sample or on a track or a project or a musical piece, and once it affects those, it's kind of like a domino effect. They'll bring the problem to the surface and probably take it to court. So I found two cases. One is Pharrell Williams versus Robin Thicke versus Marvin Gaye in 2015. And so the song Blurred Lines, basically Robin Thicke and Pharrell Williams infringed copyright by using a piece of Marvin Gaye's old song, Gotta Give It Up, in the song Blurred Lines. And so basically Williams and Thicke, they both were like, no, we're not settling for it. And so they didn't want to settle out at court, so it ended up leading to a verdict from a jury. And Marvin Gaye, they won. Their estate, they were awarded $7.3 million for this one tune. And then the case got brought to a close in 2018, and the final settlement was $5 million. So it started with $5 million and it went up to $7.3 million. I'm sorry, I got my notes messed up. So yeah, basically nobody wants a lawsuit when it comes to copyright infringement. Like, it might seem minor, but it is a big thing. It is a thing that happens. And many artists and owners of musical compositions want to maintain a good, clear relationship with other people in the industry, so they choose to go with the co-ownership agreement portion of it. The other case that I found was Sam Smith's Stay With Me. It's Tom Petty versus Smith in 2015 as well, shortly after. And basically the same thing. Sam Smith sampled a portion of, or really tried to take credit for the writing portion of it. And so Tom Petty and his people, they went ahead and took it to court, and Sam Smith didn't want any bad blood, so they went ahead and negotiated, and went ahead and negotiated and did the co-ownership agreement, so they both got a portion of each one. So now we're going to talk about what are the benefits of settling. The two that I found from my source that I found are really good. All negotiations are confidential, and it costs less to resolve the matter faster than a litigation route would be. So with it being confidential, nobody has to know that you guys went to court or it got taken to court. It remains confidential, and that's just that. Luckily, some people who aren't really in the limelight like that, who produce these pieces, their confidentiality really just stays under the radar. But it's paparazzi and things like that follow stars around, and so they end up finding out stuff. But it as far as the courts go, it's confidential, and it costs less to do it because it's like once you come up with a co-ownership agreement, it's between 1 and 2. It's not between 1 and 2 in the courts. So once you bring it to court, you're adding in those people. Everybody's all in it, and it's just a big old mess. Make sure that you don't do that if you're releasing any music. So yeah, in conclusion, all in all, we touched on music licensing. We brushed up against compulsory license provision. We talked about the alternatives of the music copyright owner, the benefits of settling, and the 2 cases. I think I'm missing anything. No, that's pretty much it. So my 2 questions for you are, 1, what is at least one alternative for the music copyright owner that I named? It was 5 of them, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, really 7, but name one. And then another one is, what license carries the privilege of making an arrangement work to upkeep the initial style of a piece? Yep, that is the end of my presentation. I know it was a lot. I think I did that in a good amount of time.